So, the second exercise that I'm going to recommend, the best exercise for shoulders, the king of shoulder exercises, the shoulder press. That's what I believe. I know there's some debates, particularly in the bodybuilding community right now, as to whether or not the king of shoulder exercises is actually lateral raises. And I'm sure my strength enthusiast friends, my powerlifter friends are probably like, what are you talking about? How could lateral raises be the king of shoulder exercises? And the argument basically goes like this. If you're spending a lot of time doing incline pressing, your front delts are already receiving a ton of stimulation, whereas your side delts aren't getting very much at all. However, here's how I look at this. Let's say, for example, that you got your bench press up to 405 for 5 or 6 reps. Now, bench press is limited by the chest for most people. Does that mean, though, that your triceps aren't going to grow at all? Do you think it's possible to have a strong bench press with completely crap triceps? Now, you might have an amazing chest and okay triceps, but even though bench press is not a direct tricep exercise, your triceps are going to come along for the ride to some degree. And I would make the same argument about the shoulder press and laterals. If you get a very strong overhead press, your side delts will have to grow to some degree. If you get a very strong lateral raise, your front delts do not have to come along for the ride. That's an isolation exercise. Now, of course, in the real world, we're just going to do both, so it doesn't really matter. I recommend that everybody does both. But this is a top 10 list. I have to pick winners. I have to pick losers. Some lifts have to get the crown, and some lifts have to get the axe. So personally, I believe the shoulder press is the king of shoulder exercises. Now, with that said, again, one of the most important criteria for hypertrophy exercises is stability. So I cannot pick the standing overhead press. And many of you who have heard me say this before will know what I'm saying. And if you haven't, give it a try for yourself. But take a weight that you can standing shoulder press and go do the same weight sitting down on a bench with back support. Most people will be able to get anywhere from 2 to 5 more reps just off of stability. There's no additional muscles that are being recruited. There's no change in the range of motion. Just from additional stability, you're able to lift 5 to 10% better in terms of your performance. So you have to, for hypertrophy purposes, do a seated overhead press if we're talking about which one is the best. Now, there's a problem with this, and that is that if you do a completely vertical seated press and you're using any kind of a bar, it's going to hit you in the face. So that leaves us with 2 options. We can either find a machine shoulder press that has handles out to the side, or we can use dumbbells, and that will allow us to, take a really vertical position and still be able to press without having to press around our face or even hit ourselves in the face, right? And that's important because when you are shoulder pressing, the more that you tuck your elbows in versus having them flared out to the side, that's going to bring in more of your upper chest. And when you do flare those elbows out to the side, that's how you get more side delt. So the more vertical that you are, the more it's going to be front delts and side delts. And the more that you use a little bit of an incline to create room for the bar to go past your face, the more you're going to get upper chest involvement. So we have to make a choice, just like we did with the low incline pressing. We can choose to use dumbbells and get better side delt recruitment, but then we get all the challenges that come with dumbbells. 1, dumbbells don't have the best stability. 2, dumbbells are very hard to incrementally load. So that leaves us with trying to find a really good machine that has the correct range of motion, that doesn't have a horrible strength curve, and that allows you to incrementally load. And most people are just not going to have access to that machine. So what I do in most cases is I recommend a 60 degree or even 75 degree. It just depends on your personal level of mobility, your personal size, and how much room you need for the bar to clear your face. And doing that with a barbell or in the Smith machine. So at my current size and my current mobility level, in order to have the bar clear my face and be able to go all the way down to my chest, I need a 60 degree incline. So for me, the king of shoulder press exercises with commonly available equipment is going to be, once again, the Smith high incline shoulder press. Now, if I had to pick one exercise that was absolutely the best for shoulders, I would pick, again, a machine with converging handles that had a lengthened bias strength curve and that was very vertical. And that very vertical position is going to, again, allow us a little bit more side delt versus upper chest. And the two best machines that come to mind for this are going to be, once again, the prime shoulder press. The big knock on the prime shoulder press, even though it has an adjustable resistance curve, is that the handles do not converge. So the one piece of equipment that does have a lengthened bias, that does have converging handles, is the Atlantis shoulder press. Now, the knock on the Atlantis shoulder press is that it doesn't have an adjustable resistance curve like the prime piece. Back in reality, for most of us, you're going to, again, want to make a choice between a more vertical seated dumbbell press or a slight incline with a barbell or a Smith machine. And this will once again primarily come down to how strong you are. If you're at the point where kicking up dumbbells is a huge pain in your ass, consider moving over to the Smith machine or to a barbell and using a high incline press. If you're still at the point where kicking up dumbbells isn't a problem, or you have a good training partner that can hand you dumbbells, then probably my personal favorite in that situation is actually going to be the dumbbell variation with a very vertical upright bench. And in my opinion, those are the best exercises for shoulders for hypertrophy.